So we're gonna start recording. Meeting
As
is
long as I
being
don't feel like I'm breaking up, this meeting is being recorded. Okay.
Right, let's go ahead and rock and
awesome.
roll.
So good evening, guys. You are listening to WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5
107.5 FM
FM, WRUU.org.
.org.
We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global
Global
soul.
Soul.
You guys, we are here. It's Friday night at 8 o'clock. So that means it's Friday o'clock, right?
5 o'clock.
Friday o'clock is our opportunity every Friday night to, catch up with friends, because this is Let's See Who My Friends Are. I am your host here, Ray Carr, the fit hypnotist, the one and only.
The one and only.
We're doing some virtual type things tonight. I have my co-host someplace in the virtual station.
Oh yeah, I'm always here no matter what. This is your ear candy, your social voice of radio, the only and one GQ Smooth.
Yes, we got some ear candy tonight.
Wow.
Also in the real station, you know what I'm saying? I got with me the other voice that is here.
Hey, Yana Daily, I still ain't got no hashtag, y'all.
So Miss Ayana Daly, yes, is hanging out with us. I know we also have Carmack is in there somewhere hanging out with us in the virtual station as well. Thank you, Carmack.
All right, yes, I'm right here. Y'all can hear me, I guess, yes.
For sure. And then tonight, we have one of our previous guests, one of our, I always say controversial guests, because he comes here and I have to bleep stuff out.
Yes,
Mr. Bernard Rich Scott, B. Rich Scott, can you join us, please?
Yes, what's going on, everybody? How y'all doing out there in TV land?
Oh,
That's good.
and then there was lights.
And then
Good.
there was
Do I need to turn down the light, or is that light just right? Let me know.
There you go with the rhyming.
The light
Perfect
is
time.
just right. Yes.
Cool,
Thank
cool.
you so much for joining us. This is at least the third or fourth time you've been with us. Yes, the
That I
third
can
time.
recall. I think the third time. Yeah.
Yeah, the third time.
Who's counting? What'd you say?
Third time's a
I don't
charm.
know. I just started saying third time. I don't know what time it is.
Oh, I thought you said third time you're going to bring Lucky Charms. We
I said third
food to
time's
the
a
fa-
charm.
Oh, okay, my bad.
The third time's the charm, for sure. So, of course, he's hanging out with us tonight doing the Let's See Who My Friends Are thing, where we catch up, we get to know a little bit about each other, see what's been going on. So thank you very much for hanging out with us this evening. It's always a pleasure, right?
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
So y'all know how we start this. We always start by just catching up. I say, how was your week? And how will your weekend be? B. Rich Scott, you are our guest tonight. Let us know, how was your week? How will your weekend be?
My week is blessed. My week has been blessed, and I have no complaints. Everything's been fine. Everybody's well. I hope everybody out there in the virtual universe is doing well with the pandemic and everything that's going on. There's a lot of fear out there, and I just hope and pray that everybody's loved ones are doing well and everybody's fine. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm cool in the gang all day, every day.
That's what's up. And how will your weekend be?
Even cooler.
Even cooler. That's what's up. Ayana, how was your week? How will your weekend be?
Well, my week was pretty good.
She out here showing thighs, y'all.
Yes, I'm being cute today.
If you are,
both y'all down there being luxurious today. I was like, oh.
Right. Wait a minute. Then I got my little wig on, y'all, and it's shorter than my real hair, so I'm really feeling myself.
Yeah, she out here showing thighs all day. What is that about?
Today was my day off day. So I was feeling myself, and I felt myself, and I felt a little velvety and a little silky. So I was like, it's hot outside, sun beaming. I took my daughter to a nice little restaurant today. We had a girls' day. We was cute, and sweating with these hot wigs. I was almost cursed
He
y'all.
said sweating with these hot wigs. Man.
Yes, yes.
You just put another
Okay,
topic
extra.
on for the night.
I want to snatch it off right at this point, but I'm too cute.
And how will your weekend be?
Oh, spendiferous. I got 2 days off. I have planned a spontaneity. Whatever happens, happens, and it is what it is. That's my plan for the weekend.
Good
That's that
stuff.
Gemini.
That's that.
That's that Gemini.
I
That's
forget.
what
I
I'm telling you.
forget.
Don't forget. We forever Gemini. Forward,
GQ.
backward,
GQ,
Yes, ma'am.
how was your week? And how will your weekend be?
My week has been great. It started July, which is the beginning of my birthday month, so it's always a good thing. It's cancer season right now. We're gonna let them have fun for a little bit. So when them Leos come through, you know, we'll just let y'all know what the deal is. Corona and all, pandemic and all. We're gonna do stepping and slide, so we're just gonna come in and do what we do, rule the land. So it's been great. It's been
Y'all
great.
get the leftovers. Y'all can get the leftovers.
The leftover, what is the leftover Gemini? Oh, okay. Anyway.
First of
Whoa,
all,
whoa,
don't go
hold
there.
on.
Don't
I
go there.
heard it was crab hunting season, player.
Right. Don't go there, because cats is, we ain't.
I mean, it don't matter. I'm a Leo, so it don't bother me as long as you don't mess with the cancers that I love. You good to go. I don't want to jump on that, but you too light skinned for one of the cancers I know, brother, and she married, so you can't get with her. I already know that ain't gonna work.
You said you was light skinned, and you was like 2 shades from him.
He's too light skinned for one of the cancers I know. He can't mess with her.
Oh, he's talking to me, dude. The way I do my thing, it don't even matter. I'm like immune, so I catch everything.
I'm just saying what. I'm just saying, yeah. Well, we know.
You the only Leo here, bro.
Why is come through that though? We ain't letting her go. But guess what? You keep interrupting my time like you had your time to talk. Exactly. But my week was going great. But every time I come to this show and I hear Ayana's voice something changes in my spirit.
I can take these earrings off, player.
You see, this what happens.
But no, my week was good. It had some little dry spells here and there, but most of I'm gonna say this: I'm sustaining, maintaining all my elevating. My weekend is gonna be great.
We got it.
If you're anything like
right now, so it's like it's real crazy.
She said even the universe don't want to hear that because your phone. Listen, we can hear you.
Carmack, how was your weekend? Let them know, Virgo.
My week was okay. It was very interesting. Glad it's over. So my weekend is going to be great. That's what's going to happen. I was going to have a great weekend.
For sure. Well, likewise, like everyone, I've had a wonderful week. Definitely a turn in a positive direction, and work has been good. Fun has been good. Good has been good. And
I was just laughing.
Oh, okay. And moving into the weekend, I'm looking forward to, some time to hang out with family and an opportunity to cook out and, have a little bit of a fun time with the people I love, right? So that is the outlook for the weekend. So we're going to move right into it because we do not have other people's topic question tonight unless you guys do.
I got one that's up there, but it can lead into, I guess, the other discussions that we're going to have tonight.
Well, throw it out there, Mr. GQ Smooth. What is other people's topics? Other people's topics is where we just throw a question out there. We go around the room and we answer from our own perspective. There's no right, there's no wrong answers, just how you feel about the topic, and we throw it out there. So go right ahead, co-host.
Go ahead. The question is, go ahead with myself, but the question is, do you believe in long distance relationships, or can long distance relationships prosper into a fulfilling relationship? I guess is the better question.
Hmm.
So either one of those questions, do you believe in long distance relationships, and you believe a long distance relationships can prosper into a fruitful, prosperous, long relationship?
Okay,
As
here's
it
the
would be if
thing.
y'all was together.
Here's the thing. You already coming with a biased opinion with the second alternative to me. It's already telling me that you don't.
Just answer the question. It's a question.
I know.
Why you doing all
No,
that? Just answer the
I'm
question.
answering the question based upon how I was received. Okay, but
It's just a
anyway,
question.
I
It's just a
believe
question.
that long distance relationship can work if that is their business. If they handle their business in that manner, it can work. But I can't say it will work for everyone because everyone is not on the same level of definition of what relationship and what a real relationship is defined as. You cannot assume that one definition of a meaningful relationship is valid for me because I don't
Right,
agree with your values.
For you, do you believe in the first?
Okay, then
question,
that's different.
I think
For
the
me,
first thing you should have heard was, do you believe in long distance relationships?
No. First thing you should have said was my opinion for myself.
The question,
Not in general.
do you, which means you. But
For
don't
a
even worry about
relationship
other
with
let's not
myself.
Okay,
forget the other
so
topic. Let's move on.
It would
We can
work.
forget about
A long distance relationship can work for me.
okay, then
Well, hold
yes,
on,
so she
because I want to chime in on that.
Let's move on.
Oh,
Just
for
jump
sure.
in.
Hold on, brother. I want to
I know
chime.
you want to chime in,
on
brother.
that. I want to chime in on that because I have firsthand experience with that question. Because, like, currently, right now, I'm separated, but me and my ex, we live in two different countries. She lives in Canada, and I live in Boston, and for the course of 10 years back and forth, we would, do the long distance relationship thing. Now, it could work. It definitely could work. But, a lot of times it's funny. That's an interesting question because back when I was younger, there used to be a lot of women that I would entertain and engage with and have conversation with, and they would always take someone more seriously who lived out of state than in state. Like even right now, if you go through a lot of the social media dating websites, whether it's Tinder, Cupid, and all these other things, Match.com, 90% of the matches that people connect with are out of state. Like they'll have somebody that's right next door, right in their own backyard, but they're paying. And the reason for that is because a lot of people, and it's not usually men, it's men and women, but a lot more women have commitment issues than you think. And it goes a little bit deeper than just the commitment part, because you got to think about this. When you have a long distance relationship, and especially when you get to the point where it's like now a committed relationship, that person doesn't really get to see all of your flaws. Now, when you're in a relationship and you get to see that person time after time and daily, flaws begin to become exposed, and you get to really see the true nature and character of a person. So a lot of people in today's age, where there's a lot of anxiety with people, a lot of insecurity, a lot of, just people not being authentic with themselves. A lot of people use that mask, and that long distance is the perfect way to mask themselves. Now, if we take that out of the equation and you say, could somebody have a fulfilling long distance relationship? I guess that can be, again, like, the other co-host said, it depends on the nature of the two parties. But I'm at the point in my life where if you want something that's going to be beneficial and fruitful, then that long distance might not be the best thing to nurture a relationship and if it's something rooted, if you want something rooted, you're going to have to be in contact with that person and have that energy, because that's where it's going to come to, that energy where you're with each other.
For sure. I personally think that long distance relationships can work because, it depends on what, like she said, what we consider a relationship. It depends on what people want out of a relationship. It depends on communication and, like you said, that energy being exchanged, because when that energy isn't being exchanged, it's like, okay, what's the point, right? And that doesn't necessarily just happen because somebody is within your immediate space. We maintain relationships with a lot of people long distance, not just romantic relationships. So if we can maintain those, then the romantic relationships can also be fruitful.
Well, let me interrupt because I feel romantic in relationships are a lot different because I could go weeks, months, years, not speaking to my homeboy, and we could pick up like yesterday, but I'm not trying to go week, months, years, not connecting with my lover or someone who I have an intimate relationship with because that leaves other people and other energies to entertain something that I'm supposed to have locked down. So that's something we gotta be aware of too, because the relationship, the
Sure.
nature of the relationships are completely different. So depending on how intimate of a relationship you have, if it's a romantic relationship, then yeah, it can it sometimes could be away from that person. But if it's something like a marriage or something like a girlfriend, boyfriend thing, or something like a fiance where it's a long-term commitment and you have goals, then that probably wouldn't be in the best interest of the two parties. But I know it can work because you look at people like who are into sports who have a career that's in the music or movie industry. So it can work, but you better have a lot of money in the behind that working for it to work.
For sure, for sure. What about you, GQ? You posed the question. What do you think about long distance relationships and their ability to turn into something fruitful?
I don't believe it's I used to believe not in it at all because I'm one of those people that if I don't see you, you don't exist. And that was before we had we had telephones, but over the telephone, I can't, a cell phone, I can't see where you at or none of that other stuff or who you with. With FaceTime and Zoom, possibly I could see who's in your surroundings or whatever. I ain't be able to see everything, but at least it'll give me a glimpse of what you look like and what's going on versus just over the phone. I can't see you or we writing a letter. Now let's be started out. Now if we starting out, I believe we probably should be there together and establish that relationship. Especially now, I can see a long distance relationship working for me if we started out there. If I do you in person versus meeting you virtually, and that's all we had. Because I'm like, I really had no connection with you. I just know you virtually. I just know what you're portraying to be. So I can't really see your ins and outs. I can't look into your eyes where I want to look into your eyes, see your body language where I want to see your body language, and everything. Get the full glimpse of your body. Excluding the feet, though. I ain't got to see your feet to know what's going on. You know, I am my feet.
Wow.
This is why you get interrupted.
And
Hold on, what happened?
Right. We stopped listening. We had stopped listening.
No, I heard. I didn't hear the last part. What was the last part of the joke?
The last.
I need to see the whole full-fledged person, their whole embodiment, including the feet.
Yeah. All right, that's what I thought you said. Go ahead, go ahead, brother. Go ahead, brother.
I did it exactly for you. I already knew how you are. So I was like,
we gotta talk about that, brother. And that's why I stopped. Because you know what? And hold on, for that, I'm gonna need some more light in here. So y'all continue. Hey, can I get some light in here, please? So yeah, we're gonna talk.
This one is so extra. I love it. Gemini to the end.
So this thing.
That's what I feel about laundry. Now I see it working if me and that person has an established foundation versus starting out versus I was like, if I had to meet you ever in life, that's not the kind of person I am, so I don't see it working that way for me. But for me, it's like, all right, if I see you in person, we kick it in person for a few days, like I have to go do something else to fulfill my destiny in life. All right, I can write you a letter. I like writing letters and still putting a stamp on it, even though they went up to 50 cents, not mailing it off. Then you got my letter. You write me a little letter back. You know what I'm saying? That's what I like.
I got you, but
you know what's funny about that? Let me touch on that because there's a narrative out there that says men are really not romantic and women are more romantic than men. And I would beg to differ that men are way more romantic than women because men are the ones that create the fantasy. Like ideally, all men want their women to be a certain type of way. And usually when that bubble is busted, it kind of could devastate the man because men are the ones who, I remember when I was younger, I used to be about the writing the love notes and the flowers and the roses and all that type of stuff. And it's not that, men shouldn't be romantic and do these type of things, but, a lot of women don't appreciate those type of things. And the thing about that is when you're a man, you're doing those things for every woman, it kind of bitters you because you're not seeing that
Yes.
some of these women are taking it, taking appreciative, being appreciated with it. So as a man, you have to find out, and cater to the ones that are appreciative to this. But men are very romantic. But I think a lot of the reason why a lot of men have stopped that is because, again, women today, for the most part, they're looking more for somebody who's a little bit more rougher around the edges. And truth be told, which kind of goes down a different segue, is a lot of women out here who are raising male children, they're raising these male children in a way that they want or they think that they want their men to behave. Because, a woman will teach the boy to be, romantic and all that type of thing. But that same man who is romantic, that's on these Tinders and Match.coms and POFs and trying to date this woman, and he's coming out with with the chair and the roses and the bottles of wines, she's looking for the dude who's gonna be on some other shit. So she's not looking for the son who she's raising to be like that, and is putting that son in a bad position because he's not getting that masculine energy or being taught the real dynamics between male and female energy.
One second, please. One second. One second.
Put that lid on there.
Hit it.
Lid.
Wait,
Show him that
the
lid.
viewpoints expressed in the following program are not necessarily
you
those
forgot.
of WRU. It's license holders or itself.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot. I have my own. Is that something that you did before me, or is that mine?
No, they put that in place for people just like you.
Yes.
Well, I forgot. Yeah, that's my thing.
I agree with that.
But I mean, absolutely.
And this is just generally speaking. This is not, this, of course, this doesn't go across the board, but generally speaking, women want that. Nowadays, unfortunately, women want the ratchet dude. So I told chicks, I'm ratchet and righteous, so we could do it both ways, whatever you want to do.
Not all women want that. The problem is that they're the only mating dance that was out there that we get to watch is the Ratchet Brothers. The ones who are mentally,
I just said not all women. I said a majority.
See, but this is the thing. You say that, and I have a different experience. I find those. What we'll talk about. No, I don't have ratchet experience.
I get ratchet. I get the and
well, the reason why you get what you receive is because of the energy you put out there, and that goes back into what I talked about. And that goes back to what I talked about before when I was I don't know if the last time I was on the show, I was either going to do the interview with Master Yao Morris or I had already done the interview, and he's the guy who wrote the book Awaken the Master Masculine and Awaken the Master Feminine. And he explains, and as we know, I used to come from a school of thought, the reason why you keep getting the same type of man is because you're the same type of woman. But it actually goes deeper than that. Because how many times have a woman got a dude or a type of a collection of men that she really didn't find desirable, so she decided that she's going to abstain from sex, thinking that that was the problem, and she abstains from sex for a year, 2 years, and finally gets back into being intimate because she thinks the sex is the problem, and she attracts the same type of dude that she attracted before the abstinence. That's not the problem. The problem is a little bit deeper than that. Now it starts with the womb, but here's the thing. You have to go back to the first few dudes that you initially had the intercourse with, because that puts your prototype of male that you find sexually attractive. It doesn't mean necessarily the dude that you find the best for you, but you have a prototype already in your womb that was imprinted by the first few men that you dealt with. Now, with that being said, until you learn how to change and cleanse, or until you find a man to fix that for you, because it is going to take the help of a man to leave another imprint, you're always going to have that energy broadcasted to those dudes that attract that energy unbeknownst to you. So you could say, okay, I know I don't like this type of dude. I know that I'm not going to have sex with this type of dude, but because your womb imprint, that's the type of dude you're going to be attracted to physically always, until your womb imprint is now changed or recalibrated.
So does that happen with men as well?
It does, but with men, it's a little bit different. The womb imprint isn't necessarily sexually. It's usually the first. So, for instance, I don't really believe in alpha women. So, what we're going to say when we say alpha women, we're going to say the most attractive woman. So, how the
Mm.
womb imprint works for a male is when he's in high school and he's around the age of women or he looking at women that he find desirable. And if he's accepted by the group of attractive girls, whether it's the cheerleaders, the popular girl, the most attractive girl, if he's accepted, not necessarily sexually, but if he's just accepted by that pack of women, then that kind of shapes his womb imprint. Because if that man or that boy at the time is teased, outcasted, or not accepted by that pack of women, that's going to carry with him in his life in the type of women that he attracts into his life. And it gets different when it comes to sex because he could actually have had a woman who's attractive that he has sex with, but his mind is imprinted with the negativity of, like, maybe the girls called him ugly or he was too short or he was
Right.
whatever. So that's
Yeah.
his womb imprint. But the woman's with the female's imprint is definitely sexual. It's that imprint because all of those, remember, everything about a woman is on the inside. So,
Mhm.
you know, and everything about the male is on the outside. So when we talk about the womb is imprinted, and the imprinting also goes into the DNA structure. So essentially, and this is factually based, every time a man's seed is released into a woman's womb, that woman takes a little bit of that man. And I think I spoke about this before. So there's a reason why, as a man, if you keep having if you keep having an orgasm into your woman and you're not able to retain your seed and hold your seed, you start to wonder throughout the months, throughout the years, why she starts to act a little bit more like you, which is nothing wrong with that because that's actually a compliment. But what does happen is she starts to take some of your manly essence, and every time you release your essence, you're releasing it from yourself. The seed is actually your life source. It's created in the cerebral spine, the spine in the cerebral. So it's literally created from the energy of your brain, your
Mhm.
spinal cord, and every single time you orgasm, you're releasing a lot of that energy. So think about how much energy you're releasing to your woman every time you have an orgasm in her, and think about what's going on. That same energy that's making you a man is now empowering her. And a lot of
Right.
people don't understand this and don't understand why, after a while of being with somebody, that animosity, that woman starts to be a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more dominant because she's actually absorbing your essence and you're becoming a little bit more submissive, a little bit more passive. How many times have we been in groups of people and we see the relationship where that woman is like so dominant and that man's just passive? He's just like, you know what, just let her do what she wants to do. And since that man has and I was about to drop the F bomb, but that dude has effed his way out of his
Listen.
own masculinity and put it into his woman's.
Mm.
I
But
mean, message.
I know what I'm saying. But so are you suggesting that intimacy on that level should be minimized when you're
Well,
in a committed relationship?
well, I'm gonna suggest this. I'm gonna suggest from the teaching, and let me say this, and because I'm gonna come back there, but I want to say a few things because Master Yao, and I want to give him a shout out again. He in his book he says, and this is just not his teaching. This is a teaching of the esoteric foundation and some of the Buddha. Depending on how old you are, should be how many times as a man you ejaculate. Now, you also got to remember there's a difference between ejaculation and sex. As a man, you can have sex and just hold your seed. That just means don't bust, retain. And in a sense, it goes back into your
We say don't bust on
I
the
don't know if that's really
well, I said it.
You can say that. You can say that. Chill. You can say that. He very
I
much
said
in
it.
the guidelines.
Just hey, just don't release.
a subject matter that is
So,
yeah.
realistic
So-
language.
so what it said is, if you're a guy but in his 20s, so between 19 and in his 20s, you're allowed, and if I'm saying it correct, for the most part I'm saying it correct, but you're allowed to have 3 orgasms a week. If you're in your 30s, you're allowed to have 2 orgasms every 10 days. If
Wait,
you're
what? It
in,
goes down?
yeah, and your 40, because you got to remember, your seed is your life power. So as you get older, you want to keep that much. So basically, when you get in your 40s, it's probably like, you release once every 2 weeks. Once you get in your 50s and 60s, it's like it goes into weeks. Now, let me say this as well.
That's because you
Yeah,
impotent. That ain't because you can't release it. It's because you impotent. You can't even arise. And by the time you get 56, some men can't even get up no more.
that's true, but and you know the reason why, but see, that's part of, and I'm glad you said that. And part of the reason why they can't get up no more is because they keep on having an orgasm and releasing their seed. Think about this: when you hold on to that orgasm, when you hold on to that energy, there is no, unless you have really some type of medical condition. For the most part, a lot of men don't understand. It's not that a person's impotent because their food or because their hormone levels. It's because they keep busting. It's because they keep orgasm. And especially a lot of men have problems with self-gratification. Now, your seed is supposed to technically, when you, I don't care if
Topic.
you see now I gotta watch my language here. So let me say this cleverly. Whether you're happy, I could say oral, right? I could say oral. All right.
Yes, you can say oral.
I
Yes,
mean, we there already. I mean,
All right.
I'm gonna have to go through this with a fine tooth comb. So you good. I mean, just we busting
All right.
already. We already,
So
we
so I'll
already
bottom
have.
line it. So I'll bottom line it. And now this gets into the metaphysics. And when it comes to the metaphysics of releasing your sperm, which is your life force, it should not be released into anything other than the womb, which is for life creation. Now, of course, we got the mouth, we got on the stomach, we got all types of things where it could be released. But
yeah.
think about this: that seed is so powerful that, as a man, you're masturbating and you're just letting it go. You're letting all that energy just go. Now, when I talk about the metaphysics on that, and I could be here talking about that for hours, so I won't go too deep into that. But just once you understand the metaphysics of that um, actual liquid, and in fact, when we bring that liquid in, that liquid, you know what? I'm gonna save that because I want to give another shout out real quick. I'm going to have an interview on Sunday with one of the fathers, the grandfathers, the godfathers, the gods of metaphysics. I'm going to have an interview with Dr. Phil Valentine on Sunday at 6 p.m. on my channel, BK Sky 09. And I'm going to have that brother break down the metaphysics. He has a book out there called The Wounded Womb. And when I say, when put it like this, if we as human beings, especially as melanated people, really understood the power in the semen and in the womb, we wouldn't do half of the stuff and waste half of our energy and waste half of our time on all this stuff that really don't matter at all.
Absolutely,
I agree.
absolutely. Because I think whereas sex is pleasurable, that we overlook the use of sex or the purpose of it, and overlook, like you say, the power of it through not just the male seed, but the female's womb, and what happens when the two do combine, when it's not just for procreation, but with everything, with creation is procreation, right? So I think as more people are becoming more conscious of who they are, these truths and secrets are coming out. So those conversations that you are having with the masters, with the Dr. Phil Valentine, with Master Yao, are some wonderful conversations that reach people where they are.
Well, let me give another shout out, and GQ Smooth. This, when I say, if you haven't heard of this dude, as soon as this podcast is over, you go to his channel right away, and I could guarantee you will hear some of the illest game you have ever heard before. And I like it because he's a younger cat. But when I say, just like a Dr. Phil Valentine, and actually I know him and Dr. Phil Valentine, I do know that they correspond because we had a conversation, but I don't know if you heard of a guy by the name of Eddie Fuse. Have you heard of that, brother?
No.
Eddie Fuse is next level. I don't care what video you play, you pick any one you want. As soon as you play the first video, you're done. You're gonna play every single video, and it ain't enough time in the road to hear everything at once. But he drops the game on the next level, and I had the opportunity to do an interview with him as well. That's on my channel as well, BK Sky 09. And you actually might want to start with that video. So check out that video. It's called B Rich Scott interview with, well, excuse me, Eddie Fuse interview with B Rich Scott, and he breaks down the game, and he breaks down a lot of masculine, feminine energy, a lot of metaphysics, and the game is very practical. But here's the thing, and I want to caution a lot of people who are looking for esoteric answers and want to go down a certain route. I used to wonder why, with so much information out there, only a small amount of people hold the power and the secrets to this vast world and could unlock some things that nobody's ever going to be able to have the chance to. And I couldn't for the life, and this is a journey that I've been going through for like years, and I couldn't for the life figure out why would the people who hold these secrets not tell people these secrets so we could live a better life. And then one night I had a dream. And I said, okay. Well, actually, before I had a dream, I said, you know, universe, I need you to give me some answers, and I need you to tell me what I need to hear and show me what I need to see. And, you know, the universe showed me some things, and the universe showed me some very scary things. And now I understand why there are certain people, or I understand why there are certain gatekeepers and certain secrets that can never be told, because there are certain things that are so powerful that you will literally go crazy, literally. That's why some people have to be teaspoon fed, some people could get a plate full, some people could get a whole kitchen full, and some people can't get none of it. And I understand that now.
Yeah, for sure.
A lot of people can't get none of it.
For sure. As you, I mean, if you kind of look at and you think about, you know, the people that are out there teaching these truths, these metaphysical, esoteric truths and things like that, as you ascend, that amount of people get smaller and smaller. As you ascend, you realize more and more people, they look at you like, oh, this person is insane, right? And it is because they are not at a place where they're able to grasp what it is that you are putting out. They're not vibrating at that same frequency. And people say vibrating at that same frequency, and I like to be, you know, the type of person that breaks stuff down, because there's somebody out there that's hearing the words vibrating at the same frequency and have no clue what that means.
Well, you know what's funny about that? You talk about people who kind of don't understand, you know, because certain people move at certain levels. And I'm gonna bring it back to something Eddie Fuse said. And this is the wisdom in what he talks about. He said, you know, there's a lot of people that's insecure, and there's a lot of people that, you know, they're insecure what someone might think. So for instance, let's say I was walking down the street with a woman, and that woman wasn't really attractive by normal standards or by what society thinks standard. That brother was like, you know what, forget all that. I set the standard. I set what's the norm. You as a man, how is another man going to tell me what I'm insecure about? I'm not insecure about nothing. And the conviction and the power behind those words, like a lot of us don't understand. We have our own power, but yet we look to other people to validate the power. And then when you really just stop and think about it, you're like, damn, what difference does it make? You know, yeah, I'm with this woman, I'm doing this thing. This is what's cool now because I'm doing it. And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah.
Think about it like that, and you just change the perspective. You put the whole trajectory on his head, and it's like, okay, this is where you start. You start by taking away everything that you know. You start by stripping on what you think the standard is or what you think is cool because people said it's cool. People said it's cool, and you start figuring out for yourself what's cool. But I will say this. Let me go to the flip side of that. Brothers, if you are sleeping with a woman that you wouldn't be seen walking down the street with, that's low vibration energy. Do not
Right.
sleep with that woman, because if you're not proud to be with someone in the light as you would in the dark, unconsciously and internally, that's your spirit saying there's something wrong there, and it's going to affect you on a level where you might not understand. But that's going, for instance, let's just say hypothetically, you, that whole do something in the dark comes to the light. So let's just say it doesn't come to the light. So you're doing something, you're creeping around with a female that you're not necessarily proud of. What's going to happen is that energy is going to manifest to those women that you do want to be, that do want you to be attracted, that do
Right.
want attracted to you. Now, you might not know why you're not getting those women, and they might not know why they don't feel you, but internally, that energy, just like the womb, which we speak of about that woman who her energy in the womb imprint is now attracting a certain type of man to her. The
Yeah.
same with that energy is now attracting a certain type of woman staying away from you now because of what you're hiding inside.
For
Right.
sure.
Which,
Our
well, that leads to my next question, though.
No, go ahead.
Because you said something in there. You said something that's like, and you know, I'm a little bit younger, so not time to be with a woman that I wouldn't be seen in the light with, and nothing like that. But what if your spirit guides you, or you get led to more than one woman? That's what my thing is. A lot of people, stick to, and this is straight like a legit question. This ain't on no, because you're a polygamous type stuff. Like, yeah, I got my beliefs, but my thing is, I know that there are several women that I have spiritually been like, bam, you just as good as the last one. So how do I choose which one to be with, or can we be with more than one?
Well, here's the answer to that, brother. At the end of the day, you choose what you want to do in life. But there's
Right.
a
Come on.
but there's a second component to that. The woman has to choose to be a part of that as well. And there's plenty of women that will be a part of that. But I also say this, and this is not this is definitely not to you, but this is just generally speaking. There's a lot of men out there that want to entertain the fantasy of having multiple women, but there's a lot of dudes that can't even handle one. And forget about just
Right.
handling one. There's a lot of men who want these bad, oh, I'm about to say another thing, these bad women, these dope women, these ball, but practically speaking, these men who have these women who are very sought after, truth be told, a lot of these men, there's a lot of insecurities with them behind that, because that's a lot of upkeep. Why do you think it is that a lot of men with money typically choose average women and they cheat with the high class or the very attractive or the supermodel women? Because they know that those women that are sought after by most men are not only going to have a lot of people that's going to try to sleep with them, but let's just be honest. A lot of women, I'm not gonna say a lot of women, but women who are on a certain level of attractiveness, and especially if they, all that energy is being directed at them, it's only a matter of time sometimes before the dam breaks. So it's less stress to a lot of these men who are already stressed by the position they hold by making a lot of money. Because if you do go down the line and you look at a lot of these women, I mean, a lot of these, the wives or the girlfriends of these men, they're not supermodels. They're not really that fly. I'm not saying that they're not attractive, but they're not like someone that you would say, oh. But then again, the mistresses usually are the ones that's like, oh, okay. So these men out here in the streets, who's these, regular degular dudes who's out there with these women who are very attractive, don't get it twisted. Just like any relationship, there are going to be things behind the scenes that are going to not be seen by the people other than the people in the relationship. But imagine you with a woman who you find attractive, but she's just kind of regular, and you're already having those type of insecurities or concerns or those type of arguments or questions. Imagine having it with someone that you consider a 10 and everybody else consider a 10. So when we talk about polygamy, when we talk about multiple relationships, that also falls in the brand of, as a man, you have to be able to not only manage energies, because that's, again, most men can't manage one woman's energy. And the second most important thing that I'm starting to realize is, there's a financial component to that. Now, you have to be able to take care, with resources, and that's going to come with financial, that's going to come with attention, that's going to come with time, because when you deal with women, especially when it comes to those type of relationships, the reason why they engage in those type of relationships, because they feel like the man's going to be able to be attentive to all of those, to all the needs of those women. Now, even if it's not all at once, there has to be some type of structure, like some type of time frame, some type of rules. But there's all types of relationships in this world, and from what I'm hearing, polygamy, especially in the Eastern hemisphere of the world, that's like the majority of the type of relationship. So monogamy is something that was ushered in on the Western civilization because of, and it wasn't originally because of love and sex and all that, it was because of property. And that's another thing that people don't understand. Marriage has nothing to do with love. Love is not even written in the contract of marriage unless you put it there. But marriage is about property. But when it comes to polygamy and different women attracted to you, now, what I will say is this: if you decide to be in a monogamous relationship, then you, as a man, you respect and you honor that commitment. But anything outside of that, yeah.
So as far as managing energies, and I wanted to come back to that and put that out there, that what our energy is. I think a lot of people don't understand that what your energy is, or that essence that you give off into the universe, is clearly our thoughts, right? Our mind, the way that we think, our mind is the connection to the universe and to everyone else, right? They are, if you think about it, you probably have thought about somebody at a particular time, and that person calls you, or you call someone just thinking about them, and they're like, oh, I was just about to call you, right? Our minds connect each, not just to each other, but to the universe. When we put into our minds a picture that is negative, that is that goes against what our true essence is, because at the end of the day, if we all believe that we are, perfect, whole, and complete, anything outside of perfect, whole, and complete, that's perfect, whole, and complete in our thoughts, our emotions, and our actions. Anything outside of that is a distortion of that perfection. So when we think negative thoughts, when we think something other than ourselves is perfect, whole, and complete, that is reverberated into the universe. That picture, that energy, that essence is now placed out there. And that's what other people walk into. That's our vibration. That's that is in our aura when we, think a certain way about ourselves. That's why different people, when they come in, you can tell what someone believes about themselves based on how they carry themselves, right? But we can also, kind of just look at someone and have a pretty good idea of their energy, because we feel it. As they're projecting it into the universe, we absolutely feel it. So that's what our vibration is, and our energy.
Let me ask you a question. It's interesting that you said that, because I was having a philosophical debate with somebody just yesterday about this question, and the question was, what is real? Well, hold on, let me get it right. I think I wrote it down, but it has something to do. Actually, I got my phone and it's in my phone, but it was basically, all right, there's a lot of people who subscribe to my truth, like, this is my truth, or, this is his truth. How many times have you heard that expression? Well, this is my truth. And my counter argument to that was, well, there's your truth, there's my truth, and there's a truth. And this went into more of a masculine, feminine energy thing. And there's a reason behind that, because I think, and I've heard more women, when they speak about truth, they say, well, this is my truth. And as men, we got to understand a woman's truth is in their emotions. So a woman could say that she doesn't like something today, or like, let's just say hypothetically, I says, you know what, Ray? Let's go out to the movies tonight. And you was like, I really don't want to go to the movies. And that's how you really feel. Your truth is you don't really want to go to the movies. And I said, you know what? All right, forget the movies. And I went over to you and I hugged you and I scooped you up and I trolled you all around. I threw you on the bed and I was just playing around with you. And then, you know,
Go
you
to the
might say, you
movie.
know what? Let's go to the movies.
Let's go to the
A
movies.
woman's truth is rooted in her emotional state at the time. However, a man's truth is rooted in foundation. And I find that that's where a lot of the disconnect comes when it comes to male and female communication, because a lot of men don't understand. And I had to realize that as well. When I say something to a female and she tells me something, and then a minute later or 2 minutes later or a day or a week later is different, when the circumstances hasn't changed, I had to figure out that, damn, it wasn't the circumstances that changed, it was the emotional energy that changed within her. Because you could say to me, yo, D, you want to go to movies? And I'm like, no, you could, don't try to spin me around. I'll punch you in the face, but you could do whatever you want. You know, if you
Not
were
going.
you a woman, you could, you know, kind of do whatever you're trying to do. And I'm still like, nah, I'm good now. We ain't going nowhere. So, but with that being said, what do you think, you know, what do you think truth is? Because I feel like there's a truth and there's the truth. And when you're in the truth, so going back to what you said about somebody's energy, I do believe that your perception is your reality on some level. But let's just say hypothetically, we all live in a matrix. You know what one of my thoughts was? Let's just say that this coronavirus thing, right? Let's just say initially they was talking about it was a 5G thing. And that was the reason why a lot of the energy and the vibration was, you know, interfering with a lot of people's energies and spirits and all that type of stuff. And because of the 5G, the reason why they want a lot of 5G is because they're trying to introduce AI on another level. So part of the reason is these smart cars. They need a tower every a lot closer in range, so it could connect with everything artificially intelligence. So that way, you know, things could be automated. So they want to try to get rid of human beings and have, you know, all of these artificial intelligence do a lot of the things that human beings are doing. But something crossed my mind, and this is just, you know, that wacky mind that I have sometimes. What if hypothetically, if you watch the Matrix and people understand the Matrix, and with that, there's a lot of metaphysics in there that's
Gemini.
a lot of people's heads. But what if we was already artificial intelligence? So what if we're right now artificial intelligence in the world, and the coronavirus is us waking up? So now it's a malfunction in the system. So now the reason why all this stuff is going crazy is because we're not asleep no more. And if you look at the world, a lot of people before, people used to talk about conspiracy theories as a funny thing, and conspiracy theories was something that was given to the masses from the CIA in order to kind of push people away from knowing that there's something really going on. So the term conspiracy theory actually came from the CIA. But let's just say hypothetically that we're all waking up, because back in the day, a lot of the stuff that people are waking up to now, like you said, people were calling people crazy or foolish, but now it's not so foolish anymore. And we're starting to wake up on a mass number. So I'm thinking that possibly the AI, us, we're starting to wake up. So now the computer, who is us, is now rising, which is the fear that us as human beings have, that the computer is going to rise if we give power to the computer. So what if we was just a computer? What if we was the Matrix? What if we was really those robots? And if you watch shows like the Westworld, if you could conceive it, most likely it's already here. If you have a thought and you could see it, think about aliens.
See, and that right there is exactly it. What we think is what we create, right? What we think is what we create. So I tell people there are different truths, right? Like, just like you say, there's my truth. We all have our personal truth, our personal realities. And I tend to kind of look at it, I say it's our personality is our personal reality. And that's made up of what we think, what we feel, and what we do and experience, right? We can't, if we take one part out of that, then we distort our personal reality. So my truth is included in all of that, and so is yours. You know,
Right.
truth is that women do take a lot and invest a lot into the feeling, because what a lot of people don't realize is that when you put a picture in your mind, when you think, what activates it is the feeling, right? It's the emotion. You can think yourself, or I can see myself all day confident, but unless I feel it, unless the emotion of confidence is there, then I'm not that, right? If I do confidence, if I do the things that look like confidence to the outside world, but I don't feel it, nor do I think it, then the truth is that I'm not confident, if that makes sense, right? So
Okay.
I say that each and everyone's personal truths or personality is reality, because to the person who is thinking that things are crawling on their skin, whether we see it or not, they think it, they feel it within their body, or they understand it to be true, right? And they do what they would do, that is real to them. And you can't tell them that it's not real. However, there is, just like there's the individual mind, there's the universal mind, right? And the universal mind is that things that create our, like we all know that this is a table, right? That is part of the universal mind. We all know what a tree is because everybody experienced that same physical truth. But there is a difference, and there is a linking between the universal mind and the individual mind, and how we create universal, or how universal truths show up, is by what we put in it from each individual. So in my school of belief is that if we have enough people believing, investing, and feeling into a particular idea, that idea becomes truth to that group of people. We can think about things like religion. We can think about things like conspiracy theories. You cannot tell a flat earther that the earth is round from,
but see, you actually are making my point, and I'm glad you went down that road, because so, or maybe this is the same point, maybe we're making the same argument, but that's my point. There's the truth that somebody believes in is the real truth, because let's just say hypothetically, we have Christianity, we have Judaism, we have Islam, we have a lot of religions. Let's just say hypothetically, one of those religions are actually really, really real, meaning that's the truth and there's no other truth. We're not going to pick which one. Let's just say pick anyone. So one of them is true. Every single other group that believes in their religion wholeheartedly believe that their religion is the truth. But at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, there's only one truth. So the question again remains, how many truths are there?
As we go down the truths about religion, each religion.
Religion was just
I know.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just one of the things that you kind of threw out there, but it's one of the ways to demonstrate also, the question that you're asking. At the end of the day, the religious part of it is the things that you do, the things that you feel, and the things that you think. It's the routine of it, right?
Okay, I'll give you a better example. Because this is the argument that I was making. Let's say, lawyers, for instance, let's say you're guilty, you stole a car, right? And we know you stole the car, or the person. Let's say a person stole the car. We know the person stole the car. So we have the defendant, the lawyer who's defending the person who stole the car, and we have the prosecutor, the one who's like, okay, the person stole the car. Me as the defendant, I'm trying to prove or persuade my argument to a group of people to say he didn't do it. So let's just say I successfully made my argument to this client of mine who is guilty, but because of the way I articulated myself, because of the way I persuaded the jury, he is now not guilty, which is not the truth. My point is, there's only one truth. Oh, go ahead.
See, even in that scenario,
Yeah, I kind of got.
even in that
Yeah.
scenario, he could be not guilty and it still be the truth because he's not guilty based on the laws that we made, not guilty based
Right,
on
right. But see, now you said,
whether
now see,
something
that's
he
my
did
thing.
or not.
Right.
And what
But
he's been.
see, now listen, now are you listening to this GQ Smooth? Because this goes back into my argument about how women and how men think. That's why when you're in a relationship with a woman, you have to be very careful on the way you have arguments because they could find, and this is nothing against, and because at the end of the day, this is all love. But I'm trying to make men understand there's ways to communicate with women that you have to understand because especially when it comes to romantic relationships, there's a lot of relationships that just went haywire over men not being able to understand and properly communicate and dissect and comprehend what women are saying. So let's go back with your argument. The dude is guilty. He knows he's guilty. I know he's guilty. The prosecutor knows he's guilty. But you're right. Because of the laws, he is perceived not guilty. But my question is this. How many truths are there?
It all depends on what we are pursuing.
Okay, GQ Smooth. How many truths are there?
What is it?
There's only one truth.
There's only one truth.
No. Let's. There
Hold on,
are.
is GQ Smooth still here?
I'm still here.
Okay.
They
all right,
are. See, and that's the thing. They are truths, and then they're universal truths.
Right,
and those universal
right,
truths are the only truths, are the truths that do not change. When we're talking about the truth, you know, the laws of the universe are the only truths that do not change.
You're absolutely
that do not change with perspective, that do not change with circumstances, and do not change with individuals. So as we take that and if we can say that those are the only truths that don't change, then there are various versions of truths that are subjectable to change, because that is our ability to create, our ability to change some of the quote unquote truths in this world is our ability to create.
So and that's part of, and on some level I agree with you 100%. But on another level, that is, again, it goes back to part of the reason why there's a lot of misunderstandings, because as a man, and let's just be honest, and GQ Smooth, and I don't even have to say I know you agree with me, because as a man in your spirit, I know you agree with me. When we speak about certain things, like there's a reason why the phrase is a man of your word, a man of honor. We don't really hear it's not a woman of your word, because men back in the day, when before all of civilization was where it was now, where we could just go to the store and eat, back in the day, a man had to trust other men's word. So let's just say I was in my tribe, you was in your tribe, and I was about to go down a hill and I was about to shoot, I'm looking for food for my family. So I'm looking for some wild buffalo or whatever. And I speak to you and say, hey bro, is there any buffalo down there? And as a man, I have to take your word for it that there's buffalo down there. If you're like, yes, then I'm trusting your word, because we both have families to feed. We both need to make sure everybody's good. And as a man, that was your word. So I go down there, there's buffalo. Women have a different type of, and this is all through evolution. Women had a different role. A role of the woman was to survive, because even back then, they was dependent on the tribe, dependent on the union. Men, for the most part, if I was by myself and saw the buffalo, I could kill it by myself, eat it by myself, be good. A woman's not going to be able to do that. I'm going to have to bring the food back to my kids and to my family. But as a woman, if she had to, if she didn't, like the tribe she was with, or she didn't feel like she wanted to if she didn't want to be there, she would have to kind of pretend. She would have to kind of deceive. She would have to kind of go along to get along. And throughout history, throughout evolution, that is still the narrative when it comes to the communication that men and women have. That's why women don't understand how upset a man will get when you lie to them over the smallest things. And men don't understand how nonchalant a lot of women take lying, because a woman doesn't see lying as lying, literally. Because
go ahead, repeat that last sentence, because you blanked out a little bit. Repeat that last part. You say women don't understand.
And we're going back to the truth. The truth of the matter is women technically don't see lying as lying, especially when it's rooted in the emotion. Now they get the concept of lie, they understand, but when it comes to morally, they don't really get it. Men, we take it a lot more personal, and that's part of the problem. Well, I guess problem subjective, but it's a problem for us when we entertain conversations and communications with women. That's why, back to the whole thing about the truth and, worlds are created with truth and shape this, that, and the third. If you look at the current state right now, if you look at the current state of the world, even though it's a man's world, this world is shaped by women. Women are the universe. The universe is feminine. The universe in general is feminine. And this world is shaped by women. We're shaped by the language. We're shaped by, why do you think women speak way more than men? I think men speak probably like maybe 5,000 words. Women speak like 1,000,000 words a day. And that's because their language is what they use to not only create, not only to bond, but they use it to deceive. And in that deception is actually to try to create the bond and keep the bond. So it's very deep when we think about, and that's why I like to talk about, I say, what is the truth? Because to me, there's only one truth, and there's always going to be only one truth. But I understand that when you deal and when you engage and when you have to interact with different people, you have to understand that there's somebody who's going to have their truth, someone's going to have their truth, and you have to find a way to kind of comprehend those truths in order to have a cohesion.
Mm-hmm. They do that in law enforcement where they get multiple witnesses and they pull all their points of view.
My thing is,
yeah.
No, my thing is, listen to all that and everything else. There's one ultimate truth, yes, but how many truths are there? Like I said, it's different between universe. Because how many people are on this earth, and then I would look past it not only in human species as well, the human kingdom, the whole animal kingdom itself has its level of truths that they believe in. Because as a human, we don't see going out there killing another human as our food. But we know for animals, that's their truth. Even though we try to be like, oh, no, don't do that. That's not right. Or
right.
Really emotional over that. So I'm kind of like, that's
well, you know what's funny? They say that animals human beings are the only social, well, obviously we know they say other animals are social. Human beings are the only creatures who actually need each other. People talk about how people are against everybody and we're, animals and this type of third. Human beings are the only creatures on earth, even though we do kill and we do all this stupid stuff, we're the only creatures that actually need each other. No other creature no other animal needs another animal.
Yeah.
Because there is a hierarchy. Everything's pretty much instinctual. Because we're able to have these type of conversations and communicate, because we have these different languages, and forget about just the languages. We're just here in the U.S. and we're speaking this language. Think about how many different countries there are and how many different other dialects, and then we all could find a way to try to interact with people sometime. Well, hopefully we can find a way to interact. But human beings are the most complex species in the world, but animals operate under a certain type of hierarchy, because even in the animal kingdom, there's a hierarchy. It's like, there's this, and depending on which animal you are is going to be dependent on the hierarchy. With man, with human, with male and female, there's supposed to be a hierarchy, but then that goes back into what's the truth, because the truth is depending on how you feel, what we talked about, how you feel and your energy, depending on what type of other energies are around you, depending on what other type of adversity, what other type of dangers, what other type of goals, there's going to be different hierarchies even in the group of humans, because it should be, the truth should be man, woman, child. Now that's the truth. But when we go back and talk about, other people's truths, well, we look at the road today. Is that the truth?
Nope.
No.
It's not. It is not. Well, we could have that conversation all night long. I do want to, because that just started out as other people's topics. We took the other people's topics and ran it into
Awesome.
which is wonderful. I appreciate, all the information and the good conversation. That was amazing. I do want to ask B. Rich Scott about his books.
Okay, I'm gonna plug two books. One book, I'll give you the title. The other book, I'll kind of have to go around the title. But not even with just that. I have a few other projects coming up, but this is my book, Foot Fetish, The Chronicles of a Gemini. And you could get this book on my website, brichscott.com. And my first book, because I'm a personal trainer and nutritionist by trade. And there's so many people out there that don't understand, how important their spiritual energy is regarding their health. And a lot of people just think you go, it's about the food, it's about the working out. And it is, it's about the food and working out. But when I talk about the metaphysics and I break down how important it is about just other spiritual stuff, including the food and the working out, I decided to put a book together, and this is my book. Now, because we're on, I think, Christian public airwaves, I believe, I'm not going to say the title of the book, but
FCC guidelines regardless. But it's you can say the letter unelf your health. That's how unelf your health.
Unelf Your Health. And that's also on brichscott.com, my website. Also, and I'm part of the and maybe that's why my energy has been on a little bit more spiritual journey, but nah, that's not really it. But I'm also part of the clergy. I am an ordained minister, and I can't do marriages, baptisms, funerals, which I hope I don't have to do no funerals, but I could do marriages, baptisms, and some other stuff. And I also, go ahead.
No, I was just saying, me too.
Oh, right. See, right. That's what's up. And also, coming at the end of the summer, I have a supplement line coming out, my own brand. Okay. So I have a lot of things going on. And again, that's at brichscott.com. Also, if you want to take a look at more of my videos, I suggest you go over to bkscott09. And again, I am going to have Dr. Phil Valentine. Now, actually, by the time this video airs, I already did the video, but you could still go ahead and check. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that interview this Sunday at 6 p.m. But like I said, by the time this video airs, it will be a week after. So you could go ahead right now after this video, go over to bkscott09 and check out the Dr. Phil Valentine interview. And I could guarantee, man, he's gonna cook. I'm gonna let that brother cook. But in the meantime, we got a lot of other videos over there, and I drop game heavy. I drop some heavy game.
For sure. We are going to have to get you back. We're going to have to get you back on the show and talk about some more deeper topics between male and female relationships. That would be very beneficial, I believe.
And I want people to understand, because there's a narrative out there when a lot of men talk about the nature of female and male, that there are some guys out there, it's like they don't even like women. And it should never be to the point where it's like a battle or there's any, it shouldn't be to that point. It should just be about understanding. If something's in somebody's nature, you can't be mad at the nature. You have to understand it, you have to accept it, and you have to learn to be with it. And sometimes that could sound like a negative thing, but it's really not. Because if I know the nature of my job is, they just pay me to go to work, then I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna get paid to go to work. Like, I'm not looking for no extras. I'm not looking for no, handouts or nothing. I'm just gonna pay. I'm going to work and I'm getting paid, and that's what the nature of my job is. So when we talk about the interactions, and that goes with, women too, once you start understanding the nature of the male, then I think a lot of women will, find it a little easier to navigate with the men, but it's really not their job. I think it's more of the male's job, because again, I feel we are the hierarchy and we have to set the tone. So just like I said earlier, we have women that complain about the type of boys that's being raised, because now these boys that's being raised, these men that's out there, these women don't want them. But at the same time, as men, we have to make sure that we raising these and leading these women properly in order to, you know, not complain. So don't complain about it, just upgrade. I was about to say, I was about to go off the radar again. I caught myself. I forgot that I was saying these things.
For sure, for sure. Yes. We have exhausted our hour like 20 minutes ago. So we are good as far as, you know, what it is that's going to air next week, and I'll edit, but I'm going to definitely air the entire video but edit some of it for the radio so that we can reach our time. Please say again your places where we can or others can contact you or see your videos or all of those things, all of your handles.
Definitely. So if you want to get my book, Unf Your Health, and the book Foot Fetish, The Chronicles of a Gemini, which if you like erotica and you like some stories, well, man, I got some stories for you. You can find our book at berichscott.com. If you're interested in more of my video content and the interviews that I have done and will be doing in the future, you can go over there to YouTube at BKScott09. That's BKSCOTT09. And all my products and some videos too are over there at the B Rich Scott website. So I have products, I have services, because again, I'm a life coach. I deal with couples who, you know, I deal with couples who have relationship issues, and I deal with people who have personal things that they want to accomplish. So I do everything: fitness trainer, nutritionist.
True Gemini.
Now, I'm doing marriages.
But for sure, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
For sure. Gang, any questions? Any further questions?
No.
Hold on, wasn't there another dude in there? Wasn't there another gentleman in the stream?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So this will air on next Friday, but thank you so very much. Guys, do you GQ, you had any other questions?
No, not during this hour. We have to get brother back on here.
Oh,
Definitely.
for sure. We definitely, because we wanted to have a talk about, you know, dating during the coronavirus epidemic, and some of the nuances of maneuvering through dating, period. You know, that's gonna be.
I got game for days for that. I got plenty of game for days.
Yes.
Teach me Obi-Wan. I have no game during the COVID.
So we will do that. We will absolutely set up for another time where we will sit down and talk about, you know, dating during this pandemic and dating, period. Like the man says, he got game for days. He got game for days. Well, until that day, right? We appreciate you. I appreciate you guys always taking a moment to spend this time with me. Thank you. And also, you know, to impart wisdom. I think that every time I come together in a group and we have these conversations, I learn more, not just about you guys, but I learn more about myself. And, you know, that's what this life journey is about, learning about yourself and stepping into, you know, the next bigger and better you. So until next Friday, you guys have been listening to WRULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org with our Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. I'm your host here, Ray Carr, the Fit Hypnotist. We're checking out GQ Smooth.
Oh yeah. Here's Candace, Soldier Voice of Radio, GQ Smooth, signing out, baby.
Yes, Miss Ayana, thank you so much.
Bye, y'all.
And
Have
of
a nice
course,
evening.
Mr. Bernard Rich Scott, thank you so much for your presence and for gracing us tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Always welcome.
Yeah, so I am going to stop. No, not that.
Just stop recording.
Yes, I'm going to stop.